Hi guys, in this episode we're going to be looking at the progesterone only pill. Some example brand names would be Movisse or Micronor. Now the first question that might come across to you is, why would you want a progesterone only pill instead of the combined pill that has both progesterone and estrogen? After all, isn't two always better than one? Well, there are a few instances where you should not be using estrogen, where it is what we call contraindicated. Some examples might be if you have a very strong family history of breast, uterine, ovarian cancer, or if you've personally already experienced an estrogen-dependent breast cancer, for example. Some other examples would be if you have clotting disorders, so you've had a stroke, deep vein thrombosis, DVT, or pulmonary embolus, PE. Another common one might be if you were just starting breastfeeding after delivering, so you don't want the estrogen in your birth control pill complicating your production of milk and interrupting the milk supply. So you've made the decision you're going to be on a progesterone only pill. Here are the 10 most common side effects that one might experience. Number 1, irregular periods. And I would say that is probably the most common complaint I get in females on progesterone only pill is your periods become unreliable. So the incidence of that from the manufacturer was 34.3% of users experience irregular periods. Second up was nausea, sick feeling in your stomach, and that was noticed in 8.7% of users. Now, unfortunately, the manufacturer did not include a placebo report in this study. All right, number 3 was headaches, and that was noticed in 5.6% of users. Next up, number 4 was no period or amenorrhea, or you missed some periods. That was noticed in 5.4% of users. That can sometimes be a problem because one of the advantages of cyclical birth control pills is that every month you get an alarm when you have your period that you are actually not pregnant. If your period suddenly disappears, you may panic wondering, are you pregnant? But very often with the progesterone only pill, that is just an effect of the pill itself and not that you're actually pregnant. As I said at the onset, it tends to cause irregularities of your period and a lot of spotting. Okay, number 5 was vomiting, and that was noticed in 2% of users. Dizziness was noticed in 1.8% of users. Breast tenderness or breast pain was noticed in 1.3% of users. And that is pretty common across all the hormonal birth control pills because they cause thickening of the tissues in preparation for fertilization. They almost all across the board tend to cause breast pain, but the estrogen ones tend to be more so. All right, number 8 was fatigue, and that was in 1%. And I often don't know what to make of the tiredness complaint in all these different drugs because tiredness is such a ubiquitous complaint in society today. So very often I usually discount that. I typically don't believe that this is anything to do with the drug itself. There might be a few isolated cases where that's not true, but in my personal experience, I really haven't seen it. The next one is weight gain, and that was noticed in 1% of users. And again, in my personal experience, I haven't typically seen that as a deal breaker. Usually the main deal breaker is the period irregularities, like no period or irregularity of the periods. And then number 10 was just other features. Those were less than 1%. So that can include things like acne, skin changes, diarrhea, etc. So overall, the progesterone only pill is worth your consideration. Generally though, because of some of the nuisance effects on the period, I usually relegate choice of this one for somebody who's just recently delivered and going to be breastfeeding, so they don't want their milk supply interrupted, or somebody that has those contraindications we talked about at the beginning, like clotting disorders or propensity for some kind of reproductive tumors. So I hope this helps in your decision tree. Thank you for watching, and you're welcome.